Good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Kwabena. Welcome to today. Welcome. I want to share with you when you happen to marry an entrepreneur. When you happen to marry one of those people who are not sure of themselves, who are not sure of their goals, who are fidgeting with their vision, who are ambitious, but they want to, share something that they think they have with life, with people, whether they are not going to. So if you're one of those people who happen to be in a relationship with an entrepreneur, I want to share with you some of the things that I have learned that I think will help you to become a good partner to that you happen to. Usually, when people get into relationship, so to say, they seem to be a bit more disturbed about what the man who or the woman who is trying to build a business gets occupied with, especially if usually is the men who try to build businesses. Sometimes the women to build business. How do you get to enjoy the relationship? My network is not good, but I'm trying. How do you enjoy the relationship with this guy that you just met, or even if you're married to them, who is saying that he wants to build business? And life, most people are occupied by mainly two things. I think they are more concerned of money and how they make it and how they get living. And then the next thing is that most people become concerned about relationships. And if I talk of relationship, I'm talking of marriage. Usually marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend, those kind of things. People, these things are very important to people. These things are very important to people. I have some few friends who are married to some of these people who think that they have to build business with their lives, and sometimes their understanding of the lifestyle of an entrepreneur is very much weak. And so things that don't have to be problematic, don't have to bring controversies, don't have to be in the relationships become challenging because of the other partner's understanding of what it takes for somebody to build their lives or to live their lives trying to build a company or trying to be an entrepreneur. I think that if you are married to one, or if you are dating one of them, or if you happen in the future to get into one of these guys or one of these ladies who try or who build their lives around business, whether it's one business, two of them, or three of them, whether it's trading, it's contractor, it's a finance person, whatever it is. I'm talking of those who are fully much involved in this thing that they call entrepreneurship, and you happen to be married to one of them, and you yourself, you're not, say, into it. You have your profession, you have your career, and this guy or this lady is saying that they want to build business, and you're married to them or you're in a relationship with them. There's a lot that goes on in their mind all the time. I'm talking of the entrepreneur, that they may not be able to communicate to you, because especially at the beginning stage, that they are not certain of the idea, they are not certain of the business, whether it's going to survive or not going to survive, because 90% of the time their decisions are off the mark, especially if it's their first business. Their decisions are off the mark. And if you happen to be in a serious relationship with them, let's say marriage, even though those are business decisions, they affect you, and they can be very frustrating. And how do you enjoy the relationship, and how do you also help him to succeed or help her to succeed, to enjoy the business life as well? That for me will call for a lot of understanding on the part of the other one who is married to the person who is trying to build a business, or the person who is building a business, or who is building a company. One thing you have to understand is that that part is not that much predictable. The entrepreneur's part is chaotic. It's not the ones that a lot of people can, especially when it comes to the finances. It's not predictable at all. And so if the man was not rich, or if the man was not coming from a very rich family, and he was a hustler trying to build a business, and you got married to them, or you got into a relationship with them, usually the finances are going to have a huge problem, and it can take years before he gets the financials right, especially depending on the kind of business that he picks. Every business has challenges. So, and I don't think many people get to build a solid business before they marry. Sometimes they marry and then they want to start a business. Sometimes they are building it and then they marry. Sometimes very few had a very successful business that they could leave the business for it to run, and that they would not have a lot of financial issues, and then they got married. Very few people are able to do that. And even that, the business can once in a while experience stress, pressure, financially, in terms of the relationship, in terms of their partners. How do you get to enjoy this kind of relationship with this person who call themselves entrepreneurs? You should understand that the business takes a lot of effort to build. It takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of resources. And so you cannot use the mind that you use to judge somebody who is into a predictable revenue, a work that is structured, to judge the one who is building a business that is yet to be stabilized. And so you give them that room to fidget and to play. Yes, you have a family with them, you have a marriage with them, you have children with them. How you structure the family around this is very important. But the first thing, I think, is you, the partner who probably is not in the business, your understanding of the journey that your other partner is on is very important. Your understanding of this part that they call entrepreneurship. Because a lot of the entrepreneurs may not even have the chance to even discuss the journey with the other partner, because they may be that much naive as to what it takes for them to build a business. And a lot of people are that much naive as to what it takes, and very few people are even patient and have studied this thing they call entrepreneurship. So if you marry one, you have to understand that this journey, which is that your partner is on, can take a lot of time, is not predictable. It can be chaotic. It can be very stressful. They can make a lot of mistakes, and sometimes they can make a lot that may even try to wipe the family's livelihood, you know. And so if you happen to marry one, you have to condition yourself for this kind of lifestyle that is not predictable, and the finances may take a long time for it to work out. And so the married partner should enjoy the successes that come as the business starts to grow, and the struggles that come as well. And that's where a lot of disagreements come between entrepreneurs and their partners, when it is struggling and the other person has very little knowledge as to how a business is started and is developed. When they have very little knowledge of that, they may accuse the other one who is building a business as if he's not intelligent, as if he's not organized, that a lot of the things that he tries to do don't work out. And sometimes it's like that because we expect things to work that quickly, and we become very impatient because you yourself, you're growing, and if you have children, school fees would have to be paid, house would have to be built, the car would have to be changed, clothes would have to be changed, and those come from the revenue. And so people who are a bit wiser are able to build some kind of revenue before they start any business and family at the same time. I don't know that if you are that wise. If you are not that wise and you happen to be in it, what can probably save the marriage, because the stress in the business can affect the success and the progress of the marriage, and you don't have to even underestimate it. It can destroy everything, especially when there is a lot of troubles in the business and your attention is on the business growing. And sometimes even successful businesses can still have effect on the marriage, because the man's or the woman's attention is in trying to build the business to a profitable situation or a profitable position. So very few people are able to build business before they picked a spouse or before they got married. And those people, maybe they're lucky, but even that, when there's stress and when there's pressure, you will still have to find a way of getting your partner to understand that this journey that you're on may not be as the journey that is always known to others. So if you marry to some of them, these are some of the things that you may have to equip yourself with. That the man or the woman who is an entrepreneur may be ambitious. Most often they want the best out of life, and because of their ambition and because of their sense of ambition, sometimes they may overlook basic dangers that could put the family into trouble. And so you should be the one who draws their attention to that, because sometimes they may be looking at a very high level or very height, very high. They are looking at from a very high point, and therefore they overlook the things that are under. They may think that what they are thinking will just work the next day, and if it doesn't work, who should prompt him to say that these other things also need your attention? And I think that the partner should be the one to look at that, because no human has all the strength, so he may have the strength to think, to be ambitious, to have the courage to take risk and to build a business, but he may also have the weakness to look at the little things that will make the business succeed, and that will make the marriage succeed and the family succeed. And so once he is looking from a very high level, you who are married to him or her should also be looking at the very little things that they may overlook, which will help the family to succeed. Because really, nobody starts out you don't start off life, you don't start a marriage and hoping that it will be very much stressful and end in divorce, or you don't start a business hoping that the business will will collapse. Yet any of them can happen. So when you're married to one who is always conscious of the next deal, the next sales, the next product, that part that they overlook. And when you're looking for that part that they overlook, don't use that to beat them and to tell them that you are looking at this and this little things needed your attention, and if you don't focus, that's why you are in partnership. You're in partnership even if you're not involved in the business. If the business succeeds, you are all going to benefit. So really, you are in partnership to make sure that the family works and that the business also works. And so you also would have to develop that passion for constant self-development, so that to catch up with the rate at which that the other partner who is an entrepreneur is developing. You cannot just leave him to go for all the seminars, read all the books, listen to all the tapes, and you just stay back and relax and just focus on your job. That will not help the relationship. At a point, it will bring a drift. So just as he's ambitious, you understand that this part that this man has taken or this woman has taken will take a longer time for him to see the fruit of his labor or her labor, and that this part he has to have that tendency to dream and to keep dreaming. That is entrepreneurship. And his passion for growth is also there, and you cannot let him just look at that. You should also have that kind of tendency to also develop with him. In that case, that everything that he comes home to share with you, you will be able to understand it and give proper input. You will not say that I'm not interested in it, I'm not interested in it. Yet that is what they built their life around. So you would have to have interest in that, because most often that's what they would want to talk about. The problems in the business, they would want to talk about the challenges that they're meeting. And so you would have to have some bit of interest in it, because that's how you get to communicate, and probably that's how the other areas of the marriage, of the family, would also get some kind of attention. So develop that kind of interest and have that patience that this journey will work. It may take a long time, but that journey will work. And if troubles come, still is that patience that you will need for you all to endure the harsh situations that come along with building anything which business is part. And so your attitude towards lack and pain would have also should be improved, because there will be times that there will be lack, there will be times that there will be pain, there will be times that there will be failures, there will be mistakes, there will be struggles. And so you, the partner, you may not be responsible for those decisions and the consequences, the choices. You may not be, but the other one may have been responsible for that. And so the discomfort that they bring, you should once in a while expect that these things will come up. And if they come up, you'll be equipped to deal with them and deal with them properly without breaking the home. And sometimes when successes can also break people. When you see successes, when you see victories, when you see a lot of money, some business people and their families can get into trouble just because they started to succeed. Because then the other guy becomes cocky and arrogant, and he will not listen. You see anything that he thinks that he knows everything or she knows everything. These things are tendencies to come. So you develop and see how you can go around them with him or with her and bring the attention to that. Because if they struggle so much and they get into that realm or that area that they succeed, sometimes they become that cocky and stubborn until they get into another trouble. Then they start to listen to you, and most of them will start listening to you when they have troubles. But when they get the successes, they sometimes close their ears, which is a bad thing actually. Which is a bad thing. I'm not saying it's good, but you, the partner, because you see the marriage as important, you should also know the tendencies of that. And so when they are in that mode, when they are in that stage where they are seeing a lot of successes and you're talking and they are not listening, you should have handled that stage before the successes started to come in. And so their tendency, you study them, and you find a way of getting into them and reminding them what they had to endure to see the victories, and so they should not forget now that they think that they're succeeding in the business. And how, you see, we also have strength, so discover what your strength is, what his strength is, what her strength is. The one who's doing business, what his strength is. The other one who is who is married to him and who may not be in the business, what your strength is as well, so that you build on your strength, but then you cover each other's weaknesses and weak points. So you have to have that kind of psyche when you're married to one of these people who are always thinking of the next project, the next business. They are trying to look for deal. They have a lot of weaknesses as well, and so you identify where their strength is, and you help them to grow the strength, and the weaknesses, you help them to manage the weaknesses, and each of you would have your weaknesses and you have your strength. So how the success of the business, the success of the family at the same time will depend on how you manage some of this. Is he strong in finance, and are you strong also in maybe human relation? What is it that you have strength, and what is it that he also has strength? Help him to develop the strength, help her to develop the strength, whoever is in the business, and the other person to help yourself to cover your strength and your weakness, because they will come. And that's where most often the disagreements come, because that the man thinks that he has strength in this, so why are you trying to control him? Or the woman thinks that I have this strength, why are you not using it? Why are you not asking me to be part and to help this whole thing to succeed? And so the strength, the identification of your strength, of his strength, and how you use them to build the family, the marriage, is very much important, because the one who is thinking of the business, the entrepreneur, is always he's always occupied with his next stream, what is the business. That's what he thinks about. He breathes it. So most people who are into business, when you meet them, they are always talking about your business, because that's all they think about, and they want it to work. They want, and that's how it works anyway. You can't blame them. They've been looking for, and now they may think that sorry, sometimes they may be that naive to think that the business is succeeding because of their intelligence. And even though your partner involved, but some of the advices that you gave may be responsible for the victories that came. And so when they express that tendency at the point of harvest, at the point that they see growth, just be calm. Understand that these kind of people have this kind of way of looking at life, thinking that they have sweated, so they are the ones to enjoy everything. Don't worry when they start to be. Don't worry at all, because a time will come that another problem will show up, and they'll be looking for you. But I think that is enjoyable when you're equipped to go through the stages, because there are stages of the business, and there are stages of the family, of the marriage. So your partner will become a better when you help him to grow, when you help him to get awareness of himself. Constant criticism and constant find and weakness don't help such people, because really they are that fragile. People who try to build business, most often are just trying to prove a point, and they are trying to prove a point that their life is not that meaningless like that, and that they can also make something happen. A lot of them are fragile. A lot of them can appear like very much, because they are hit all the time with troubles. They tend to have some bit of doubt of themselves, and so you who you are very much close, you are because you are that much close to him or her, your words mean to him or her that so the words that you use for her, whether even they are, because they are that fragile, and they are most intimate relationships, they are most intimate relationships are the ones who have the potential or the potential that much. So you look at your words and how you are able to, criticize and still manage. They're very much important to him, because use words anyhow, you break him. And that, look for relationships that will talk to the strengths, that will talk to the that talk to the strength that they think they have. These kind of people are always looking for validation. They're always looking for somebody to assure them that they are not part. The business people are always looking for that. And so if you help him to build on his strength, you are doing a very good job. But if you are the one who are constantly, you are constantly criticizing him, thinking that you are helping him, you are breaking him, you are breaking his focus. You don't criticize some of the harsh decisions, some of the obvious mistakes that he may be making. No, he should look at, because if he doesn't look at them, those things can bring dangerous results or consequences. So this is one of the most important things that you have to look at. The constant criticism does not help him at all, or her at all. So the encouragement, the appreciation, you feeding his use, make him aware that he's making a contribution, that you're proud of him taking the risk to be building the business, to be building the family, to be building anything. It's that much important. It's that much important to him, and it's that much important to you. Helping him always to look at it, helping him always to build according to his strength, according to the things that he's passionate about. Help him to get better clarity than trying to help him, trying to deflate his ego by constant criticism. And those things come with conscious development on your side as well, because none of us is really gifted to just encourage people. A lot of people don't have that kind of gift. A lot of people talk to people from the negative, not the positive, from the negative, not the positive. And yet the one who's trying to build business is in constant face of dealing with challenges of building a business, and people are trying to always cheat them, disagree with them, run away with their money, or the employees are running away. There's always constant one way or the other, constant problems that they are solving. And so you would not want to be part of that problem. You would want to be part of the solution. And so condition yourself that way, that if you are in marriage or you are in a relationship with somebody who's an entrepreneur, who's trying to build a business or building a business, their lifestyle is much different from a lot of the other people's lifestyle. So you need him to be at the occasions all the time, and he may not have that allowance of time, so to say, to be part of every occasion, every ceremony, and that will not mean that he does not care. And that's why sometimes people that the business person does not care. No, he cares, but his attention is always solving the next problem of the business, and so he may not have the chance to always be present at almost every occasion. Your friends are having weddings, your funerals, all the time. He may not have that kind of luxury to be there all the time, and that sometimes the extended families may even have a lot of questions on why this guy is always not present. They may accuse you all the time. Now, why do you think? Well, are you the only people who are trying to just have anything? But the reality is that their way is a bit opposite to what who may have predictable so you have to just look and see this kind of people. These are the things that they do it all the time. So the network is not good today. I don't know why. I don't know why that the network is giving feedback, but I've tried to talk about you, or when you happen to marry somebody who is or you're in a relationship with an entrepreneur. These are some of the things that you would have to look out for, and that they are volatile, they are obsessed with their dream. Does not mean that they don't care about you, and they may think that they know everything, at least from the beginning until they are hit. And you may have to have patience with them. You may have to encourage them, help them to grow on, and you may have to reduce your criticism of them, especially when they have difficult moments, and you may have to cover up. And sometimes you just have to give them some tough advice, even if they don't want to take it, because if you just say yes everything, and even though you know the decision that he's making is not going to work, you may place this one, I think you may have to look at it again. So even though they may disagree with you, they may be combative, you still have to insist on some of the things that you are very sure that he may have to look at them. Some of the relationships that they come around with, some of the decisions on the finances, you may just have to just be, because you could be the third eye for him. A bit stubborn, they may think that everything that you have seen is right, and usually they will come back to say that what he said was true about that man, about that woman, about that finance, about this project, and the mess would have been caused. So if you both develop yourself, you may be able to disagree and be, have proper conversation without a lot of the fights, because you understand the situations, you understand the approach, you understand how things work, and so you are not intimidated by the way also look at life, and you are able to tell them, that this thing I think is like this, and this thing I think is like this. And because you are also in constant development, and you are trying to catch up with the pace as to what he does, because you cannot help him with any advice, or her with any advice, if you don't study anything about what he's doing at all, or what she's doing at all. If you don't have proper knowledge, then you will not be of much importance to him. So you study it, because you are in, let's say, especially in marriage. If you're married to one, you are in it for a very long time. So you might as well be interested in what they do and how they can develop what they are doing. And so you will know their tendencies, you will know how they look at life, you will know how they behave, you will know their strength, you will know their weakness, but you will still have to be that strength, because it will take you as well for him to succeed, or for her to succeed. And so it's a tough call in terms of you being tough and at the same time encouraging him or her to succeed, and being there for them, and understanding their disposition, their character, their emotion, how they look at life, the use of their time, the use of their money. There's a lot that you probably would have to just say that this journey, this is what it usually is. And when they hit, and they hit big, you are part of it, actually. Some people say, oh, when they hit, that's why they start to marry, or that's why they call for divorce. If you work together in building the house or the home, you may be able to have a tendency to reduce the probability of separation. You may, because you would have grown together. You would have grown together, be involved, and they may know the loss of you going away. They may know that. They may know the value that you have brought to change their life, to change the business, to change everything, and the kind of investment both of you have had in the business. So even if you are thinking of somebody, marrying somebody like that, is the same. Look at how they behave, and you will see that in the relationship. You will see how they behave. You see how they look at life, how they handle their time, their money, their ego. You will see. You may overlook it, but you will see. And if along the line he was not even like that, and he started to think as starting a business, you will see some of these tendencies all the time. You see them. So you just have to help him or her to develop a good habit, and because the growth of the business will solely depend on the habits that he or she has developed. And so he cannot be chaotic, he cannot be haphazard, and still expect to succeed. So how do you help him to organize or her to organize? And usually, because the person birthed the idea, birthed the business, they may have special attachment to it. Yes, but it still has to grow. Any baby would have to grow, and it takes effort for the business to grow. So you as a partner, some of the things that you may have to understand, because you still want your family to be intact. So you don't want the other person to just focus on building the business, and by the time that they are somewhere, there's no family, there's no marriage. And so it's a tough call, but I think that with commitment and with conscious effort and with understanding that this is what it takes to be married to this kind of people, to be in a relationship with this kind of people, if you are aware of their tendencies, of their ideals, the way they look at life, if you're aware, you'll be able to agree on a certain point, and you'll be able to reduce the personal frustrations that you create for yourself, and the personal stress and the problems that you create in the family, just because you start to study the way they do things, their way of life. You understand that this kind of people, this is how they behave, and it may not be unique with just only that man or that woman. It may just be how this kind of people who try to build business in a volatile, they are trying to build something which is not even stable from the initial stage, and so they have to have a certain personality to build it for it to succeed. And sometimes that kind of personality may not be that much fitting for a family. They have to have a certain mindset, a certain outlook of life for them to build a business. And usually that would be at variance with what it takes to build a young family. But if you happen to be in that kind of situation, they are still doable. They are doable by understanding, by doable by you studying yourself and studying the other person and knowing how. Because the difficulty is if the business person were alone, those difficulties will still be there. And now they have a family, they have a wife, they have children, and they are trying to build business. And sometimes it's not just one-man business. Sometimes they may have workers that they are going to pay. Sometimes they may have partners that they disagree with. What kind of person do you have to become for you to build a family with somebody who is in that situation, who has that kind of career or that kind of profession? It will not be just as the other one who works in a bank or what it takes to marry a police officer will be different from what it takes to marry a doctor or a politician or a contractor, a carpenter. Those who have had marriages in those kind of professions, they have a way of understanding the person that they married or they are in relationship with, and they have a way of understanding themselves as well. They see their gift, they see their talent, and they also study their own disposition as well. And that's why they're able to build a family. It's not going to just happen like that. So when you meet somebody who has married, entrepreneur, and there always frustration in the relationship, there's always disagreement, there's always the voice are high, it's volatile, it's because they are refused to study the career of the person that they have married, the lifestyle of the person that they have married, and so they compare them with the other people in a different profession or in a different discipline, and it will not work like that. And so you just have to sit down and study and say, this kind of people, this is how they behave, this is their tendency, this is how they handle their time, this is how they handle their money, this is how they handle their family, this is how they handle their emotions, this is the lifestyle they have. And there are some things that you can do to develop together as well and have fun, but don't forget, he's 90% of the time he's thinking about his business and how to make it successful, and he's thinking about not creating problem, not creating debt, he's making sure that the business does not fail and that the business must succeed and grow and become profitable. so that he can benefit from all the hours that he has put in the business. So that is a major worry to him. And sometimes some of the pains that he goes through, some of the disagreements, sometimes he may not even tell you. You may have to just find a way of extracting those kind of information from them. So if your wife is a businesswoman, she's different from the other. She's different. If your wife is a businesswoman, she's different from the other woman. You may be she may not have and the time, because her strength from the other woman who has all the time to be in the house. That woman's strength will also be different. So if you happen to marry her, so you cannot expect her to be in the house cleaning, washing, doing everything, and you be the man, you're there. She has a business. She's bringing. You cannot build a successful home. It won't work. Because you may have a certain expectation that a lifestyle. Because she's dealing with calculations, she's dealing with finances, she's dealing with products, she's ordering, she's handling her workers, she's doing a lot of things. You still expect her to be the kind of wife who was doing nothing. That is not going to happen. And so you carve the lifestyle to suit you. And so if she's a businesswoman, you cannot expect some other things that other women who may have the luxury of time do for the family. So you would have to change your mind as to what she does and what she doesn't do. What are the benefits that she brings, and what are the other important things that the lifestyle that she has created brings, so that your expectation of her will not be as the other woman who has other engagements somewhere. So if she's a businesswoman building a company, building something, you would not want to treat her as if she had, so your disposition, and because your understanding of these things will make the marriage work, or the marriage will break. Because if she's the one always on the road working somewhere, you cannot. If you want to drop her and stop her, then the thing is that the whole business will collapse. The whole business is collapse. So it's who you have married. The same, if you married a man and he's a business person, there are things that you can expect from him in terms of the way they use their time and how they are pushing their time, and the other man who has to go to work 9 and comes home like 5 or 6. They're different things. So if you're married to this kind of people, you have to sit down and plan well, so that you can have a very beautiful home. And it's all doable. You can do them, and people have done them, and they still enjoy good business life, and they still enjoy very good home, godly home, because they plan. If you don't know it, you can do it. If you're not aware of it, you cannot do it. So you sit down to plan that what is the lifestyle of people who build businesses, and if I've married one, how are we going to create our own lifestyle to make sure that we succeed in the house, and we succeed in the business as well, with little conflict, with little pain, with little stress. And how are you going to develop the children, if you happen to have children at all? How are you going to sit down to plan that? Because there's constant pressure on his time or his time, on the resources. Attention is divided. How are you going to do that? So you have to sit down and plan that. But the most important thing is that you know that this kind of people have different kind of lifestyle. So we are going to sit down to plan to do that, and that will reduce a lot of disagreements. Because some people have married business people, and they are in constant disagreement, fight. There's no peace in the house. Why? Because they don't understand this part. They have very little understanding of this part that the man or the woman may have taken. And that part of entrepreneurship is different from the other. So you have to study the part, and you have to study the people who do this and how they behave, and how you have to respond to their behavior. It's not just common thing. For instance, if you marry a president, maybe you are married, you're in politics. You cannot use the way to treat the man who has become a politician. He has become a politician, his life is different. His aspirations are different. His contacts are, his use of time is different. So you would have to change to marry a politician now. If you know, when you married, he was a teacher. Same. If you marry a business person, you would have to improve to marry a business person. If they change their profession, you may have to change as well for you to have a very successful family life. So thank you very much for watching. The network has been very erratic, but let's see, maybe you heard one or two things that were helpful to you. And so I talked about when you are married to an entrepreneur, and I said that their disposition is different, their way of life. It takes a lot of strength to build a business, and very few people had before they married. And so if you married one, or after the marriage that they started the business, you would have to, whether you are the man or the woman who is doing the business, and you would have to be the one encouraging them, who's always talking them down, criticizing. It does not also mean that when you see something wrong, you don't say it. You say it. You build the skill to say it and be tough, because your words will mean a lot to them. And see it as something, even if you are not fully involved, you stay involved, because the other half of you is involved. So if they succeed, they bring the joy. If they fail, they bring the other side. You know, so you get that kind of skill to marry people who have this kind of lifestyle. And you should understand how volatile they are in terms of their emotions, and sometimes how, even though they come out as if they're very strong, but they are still very weak, and they look for acceptance, because a lot of the things that they do are thrown back at them. People are fighting them, ideas are fighting them, problems every now and then. So you will be the voice to encourage them on and push them, and push them to go for the next level and the next level. So if you are also the voice who's discouraging them, it means that they are carrying double load, and that's why sometimes business people don't